Thanks to Dr. Padma, thanks to Hari, thanks to KSR for giving me this opportunity to connect KSR in all of you who have joined this lecture. The lecture is on computer vision versus human vision. We need to understand, see, these days, a lot of automations are there, be it robotics, be it driverless car, be it brain-computer interface, be it human-computer interface. These days, computers have dominated the world. But we need to understand, computer actually mimics we human being. We human being can see the world, can understand the world, can take decisions. So this is what computer tries to mimic. Computer tries to, see the world, understand the world, and takes decision, even in faster way and in efficient way. I'm just giving the overview and then we'll start the lecture. So computer vision has understanding of the world in its own way, using the intelligence which is not natural intelligence, because natural intelligence is always there in human being. So the natural intelligence is exploited by computers, what we call as artificial intelligence, that is AI. So let us begin with the lecture outline. I'll be mainly talking about background, human vision, computer vision, because we are talking computer vision versus human vision. So I'll be also giving you an introduction or overview of what human vision is, what computer vision is, and then computer vision versus human vision. And then we'll talk about applications which are important applications related to computer vision that can help we researchers to understand what are the challenges and opportunities in this important area. Generally, when we speak to the researchers and the research communities, scholars, students, faculty members, they have one opinion about computer vision, that computer vision is a common area. Everyone is doing and a lot of works are already there. What new we can do? But that is not true. Computer vision has tremendous amount of existing contributions, but there are robust approaches which are required. Robustness is a big challenge in computer vision. Whatever methods, techniques are available, they are not robust. Still, that those techniques could be improved, and newer applications are coming up where computer vision plays an important role. And therefore, I will be trying to highlight few prominent applications where the computer vision plays an important role. Then we'll be concluding the lecture. So let us begin with background. You can see an interesting picture here, because the pictures I have produced from some sources. So I have given the sources here also. So you can look at the picture here. The picture, has one human eye, and this human eye, you can clearly see, is surrounded by thousands of numbers, thousands of bits, or basically numbers, binary numbers, zeros and ones. So this diagram and this picture clearly depicts human as well as computer understanding, that is computer vision. We human being understand the natural world, interpret in natural way, but computer understands everything in the form of numbers. So it processes, it accepts the data, it takes the world as the input in terms of numbers, processes in terms of numbers, gives results in terms of numbers, decisions are also given in terms of numbers, but finally, because we human beings do not understand these numbers, so finally, using different converters, these numbers are converted into analog, or natural form, and some decision is made by the computer, and computer takes decision as human being. So we can look at the two important statements here. Human vision has eyes, whereas computer vision has sensors. All computer vision, it may be driverless car, or it may be a robot, or it may be any other computing device. It has sensor. I'm able to talk to you today. It is reaching there because of sensor technology, because of internet technology, because of wireless technology, because of artificial intelligence. So this is what, the capability of computer vision. The human vision understands stimuli. Stimuli is nothing but all physical things which we see across the world. This may be light, or this may be anything, sound or whatever. Whatever physical excitations, signals which we come across, which we see in the world, are all stimuli. So human vision understands and interprets stimuli, whereas computer vision understands numbers. So this is the meaning of this important diagram. Let us go to the next part. Computer vision involves machines. Computer vision involves computers. As its name suggests, computer vision. So computer vision obviously involves computers. So computer vision makes computers understand mostly images and videos. Because when we talk about computer vision, vision is involved. When vision is involved, something which is seen, something which is interpreted with the help of sensors. We can say that sound and other signals are also interpreted. But computer vision here is mainly concerned with what we see, what we do not hear and listen, but what we see. So what we see is images and videos. So computer vision mainly handles the images and videos. There is an important line. I think all those who are aware of image processing or signal processing, they might have heard this. A picture is worth more than 10,000 words. You can look at this book picture. This picture is given in the slide. Sometimes there are some information backside of this building or backside of this car. Our human eyes may not be able to interpret, may not be able to see this, but computer has tremendous capability to visualize it, to see this, and to interpret this. Because every picture is interpreted in terms of numbers, and we also know that the picture carries 10,000 or thousands of words. So how interesting and how important computer vision is. Computer vision makes this possible for us. Complex sceneries, complex pictures are there, complex videos are there. Those could be easily understood by the computers, and simple interpretation and simple understanding of those scenes and pictures can be made available to us. What kind of scene it is, where are the cars, what is the distance between the two cars, what are the number plates of the cars, how far the building is from the car, how far the building is from this pole. All these can be easily determined by the automated AI-based systems, what we are calling here as computer vision. This is what is highlighting about why computer vision matters. Computer vision these days used in hundreds of applications. It's not only image processing and pattern matching. It is not only forensic application. Hundreds of applications are there where computer vision plays a significant role. You can look at some of the application areas where safety is there. You can avoid accidents, avoid the accidents. Health is the major area of computer vision, where computer-aided diagnosis, modern diagnostic systems, modern diagnosis with the help of digital images and digital, the modalities of medical imaging. And then next is security. You can identify a person, you can authenticate a person. Comfort and fun in entertainment industries, lot of robotic toys and other things are there. entertainment industry is using computer vision for kids and even for the adults as well. Then access, who is to be allowed, who is not to be allowed. But these are not the only areas. There are n number of areas. There are numerous areas. Agriculture is there, health monitoring is there, a smart environment monitoring system is there, smart city monitoring system is there. In all such areas, robotics is there. There are hundreds of application areas where computer vision plays most important role these days. You look at this picture very carefully. Our human being, especially human eyes, can fail to differentiate between the two persons sometimes. Not sometimes, many times we come across two different types of persons. If you look at these two persons carefully, we may fail to recognize, we may fail to differentiate between the two persons. But computer uses the numbers, computer uses logic and methods, that is machine learning and other tools, and computer can easily differentiate between these two persons. One is Bill Clinton, second is Al Gore, who is a politician there in US. So human eyes can fail in identifying, in interpreting, in understanding the images or videos. Whereas computer vision, because of using AI, because of using modern sensors, because of using intelligent sensors, because of using smart and intelligent and wireless sensors, it has capability to differentiate, among thousands, millions of different objects which even look similar. So this is why, human vision has limitation, and that human vision limitation is addressed, is overcome by the area what we are calling here is computer vision. I'm not just talking only theoretical aspect. I'm just giving you the background because this is very important. When we choose a topic, some of you are probably teachers, some of other people, maybe researchers and faculty members or even students might have joined this meeting. So we know that, that theoretical background, what this topic all about, what is the importance of this topic is very important, whichever topic, whichever course we are discussing. So the part which I am currently discussing is the importance of the area, that is computer vision. You look at this another, picture, very interesting picture. So this is an interesting, picture, very interesting picture where, you can see that those who know something about image processing, those who know something about, the computer vision and image processing might have come across this interesting picture. This interesting picture, see the two persons. This Afghan girl there is a story, I have given the Wikipedia link, just because of iris matching of iris patterns, this girl was identified probably after 25 years. The YouTube link is given. I do not want to play here now. And the Wikipedia link also I have provided here. Later you can see the Wikipedia, or you can simply search how the Afghan girl was identified by her iris patterns. So this is what is the capability of computer vision. Human vision has limitation. Human vision has shortcoming that is overcome by the computer vision because of machine learning and the other capabilities. Look at the next picture. I mean, there are two interesting pictures. You can see that these days the facial expression, the person is laughing, smiling. That is all right. The mobile phones these days, smartphones, computers, laptops, and other gadgets, they have capability to identify whether the person is sad, whether the person is upset, whether the person is smiling, or whether the person is crying. All these things can be interpreted. But what is more important, you look at the first picture, that every identification, the Nicole is there, female, her age is 26, and his smile is 96%. The amount of smile, the amount of activity, the facial activity is even, interpreted, explained as 96% of a smile. So this is what is called as, in terms of computers, we have different soft computing methods, soft computing techniques these days, what we call as neural network, artificial intelligence, genetic algorithm, fuzzy logic. So this fuzzy logic, is the logic that helps us to remove the amount of uncertainty. This is what is called as amount of uncertainty. We'll say that someone is laughing, but someone is laughing, it is not clear how much smile is there. That can also be interpreted or described, is a very interesting thing that can be done by the computer vision. You can look at these two pictures in the next slide. I think the second picture, I believe all of you must have seen a month ago or 2 months ago, when ISRO, talked about this Vyoma Mitra, and they're sending it to the most prestigious mission of Government of India, right? Her name is Vyoma Mitra. That's a lady who is actually robotic, and this is a brilliant example of computer vision. Will be going there, will be moving there, and will be communicating to all the scientists who will be stationed here in ISRO in on ground. So this is a great example of computer vision. This is the same robotic a device which is used by NASA. NASA is a reputed organization in USA, and we are not not less than NASA. We are ISRO in India. So this is Vyoma Mitra, and is the brilliant example of computer vision and the artificial intelligence. So you can understand the computer vision's capability. So I'm just trying to highlight what is the importance of this topic. What is the importance of computer vision? These days, it is not only limited to identifying the face or identifying the fingers or identifying the palm pattern or hand geometry. It has extended beyond. So this part, that part was about background. Why this topic? What is the importance of the topic? Next part, I'll be discussing on human vision. As I told you that we are today discussing about the topic computer vision versus human vision. So we also need to understand, as I told you, human vision uses human eyes, computer vision uses sensors and AI. So therefore, as I explained earlier, that computer vision exploits all capabilities of human, and therefore we also need to understand what human eye does, how human eye interprets the world, how human eye connects the world to the brain, and how our brain understands the things which we see through our human eye. And we take next part, I'll be discussing on human vision. As I told you that we are today discussing about the topic computer vision versus human vision. So we also need to understand, as I told you, human vision uses human eyes, computer vision uses sensors and AI. So therefore, as I explained earlier, that computer vision exploits all capabilities of human, and therefore we also need to understand what human eye does, how human eye interprets the world, how human eye connects the world to the brain, and how our brain understands the things which we see through our human eye, and we take the decision. So I'm not going to talk much on biological part, but I'm just trying to tell you some important components that empower computer vision to behave and to decide and to respond like human being. So this is a human eye, a typical diagram where human eye is considered as complete imaging system. You look at here, pupil is there, iris is there, and then cornea is there, iris lens is there, through which we human eyes can see the world. And finally, you look at here, this part, this side, optic nerves are there through retina, and this area is called as fovea, and this is the retina, where optical nerves are connecting here. These optical nerves go to brain. So whatever we see through our human eye it goes through our brain using optical nerves. Some of you might be wondering that why we are talking, why we are discussing about this. The way human eye is seeing it, the way human eye understands the world and the data, in the similar manner, computer vision has different components like sensors, electronic circuits that helps to interpret the data which is sensed by the sensor, converted into some electrical quantity, and that goes to neural network, what we call as the brain in human being. So we'll come to that point. Let us see here human visual system. If you look at this interesting diagram, human visual system, the first block depicts image formation. An image is formed with the help of cornea and lens. And after that, it goes to exposure control. You look at the diagram. You can control the amount of light. You can control the amount of the signal which is trying to enter into human eyes. We using iris, pupil, photoreceptors, and it has some sensitivity. Sensitivity is the amount of signal that is actually detected. The ability to detect the signal, the ability to detect the amount of light by the human eyes. And believe me, all these capabilities are there in these days in our modern sensors. That may be optical sensors, that may be photodetectors, that may be photoreceptors, or any other sensors which are used for recognizing and reading and accepting the world as the input data. So this exposure control is also controlled in computer vision as well. We have smart sensors. We have intelligent sensors that can control the amount of light, that can control the amount of signal, that can control the area of signal, that can control the direction of signal. How the human eye is doing in the similar manner, computer vision can do it. Then it goes to detection, and the detection stage has retina, rods, cones, and they finally detect the signal, and it goes to brain. You look at here, and in the brain, inside the brain, processing takes place. The brain is the area where processing takes place in human brain and human eye. Human eye connects the data through brain to brain, and brain then processes the signal, processes the information, and then if some decision is appropriate decision is to be made, the brain helps to take the decision. You look at here, all these are the diagrams related to human eye. This explains how the object is created by the human eye. I am not going to explain. These are all physics part. 2/3 of refraction takes place at the cornea. You look at here cornea. You all understand that the signal which is coming to our human eyes, some of the signal gets reflected, but most of the part, around 66% of the signal, is refracted and goes inside, and that goes towards this area. So this is the iris area, this is the pupil area. Then iris controls the dimension of opening where the light enters. Pupil determines the amount of light. These are the capabilities of human eyes. Then there are lenses. So better is to not explain these all components and then go to the summary that what actually human eye does. You look at here retina, what we are calling here as a retina. Retina has a number of nerve cells. Retina is network of hundreds of nerve cells, and those cells constitute a network, and that network works together to reduce the amount of information called as the lateral inhibition. And those cells are inside the retina are cones, rods, bipolar cells, right? And then horizontal cells, ganglion cells. These are the cells inside the network of nerve cells, what we call as the retina. And that is connected to the human brain, where it goes, the signal goes for processing and interpretation. Retina has 3 layers. You look at the layers here, and all these layers are for specific purposes. For example, plexiform. This is a network of nerves that carry the signals from photoreceptors. Look at here. Photoreceptors are here. Photoreceptor, photon is a light, one small particle of light. So photons, that is photons, the bundle of photons are received, and that goes to the next stage with the help of this layer. Then there are photoreceptors. Then it goes to, the choroid provides nourishment to these receptors. So these are the physical description about the human eye. But why I am explaining all these things? Because it's very important to understand what is the phenomenon to know, to get the input, to get the world, to input the world, and to take it to the brain. What is the path? What are the stages involved? Because in computer vision, we have to mimic the entire system, and therefore this is very important. These are the rods and cones which are there in retina. Rods are highly sensitive to low light, whereas cones are highly sensitive to high level light, because there are two different types of lights maybe there in the signal, low light or high light level. Accordingly, rods and cones come into the picture and they help. This is the diagram which explains the human vision is adaptive. Adaptive means if you enter into one movie theater, after some time only our human eyes can identify or can detect the actual amount of light which is there inside the theater or the room. This is the adaptive capability. This is the capability of human eye, and all these are developed and put inside the human computer vision as well. So I think this is the diagram that gives summary of how human and what human vision is. Look at the first part. Cornea and lens help to form the images. It goes to iris and pupil, that is used for exposure control. Then it goes to retina, which combines rods and cones, where the image is detected with the help of number of nerve cells. And finally it goes to brain for image processing. So this is what about the human vision. The next part is about computer vision, and after this we'll talk about versus human vision and computer vision, and finally we'll move to the application areas, which are very interesting application areas. So what computer vision is? Computer vision is the just definition of Wikipedia I have brought. What Wikipedia says about computer vision is an interdisciplinary scientific field. These days we can't say that this is only used by computer science or IT people. If you have observed last 3 days, 4 days, when Amphan was there, that affected West Bengal and Odisha, this remote science department and weather forecasting department people, they were analyzing the entire data and they were trying to predict the actual impact before actually it occurred in the coastal areas of West Bengal. So that's computer vision capability that deals with how, what I'm trying to say is an interdisciplinary. Interdisciplinary is not the area of only computer science and IT. The computers can gain high level understanding from digital images and videos. The understanding is high level. What is the meaning of high level understanding? We will understand. And then it understands and automate the task. Any task, any work requires automation that can be done by computer vision. To simplify the computer vision, the machine language is used. Deep learning algorithms these days are used to analyze, infer, interpret, and understand the content of images and videos. So this is the definition of computer vision. I think KSR will recognize this image, right? I came there in 2018, month of July. So this is the human, this is the natural picture which our human eye can read, which our human eye can understand. But for computer, it's not this type of picture, but for computer, it's nothing but the numbers. For computer, it's numbers. And these numbers, probably many of you may be knowing, these numbers indicate the pixel intensities, that is grayscale values. Because when we convert our picture into, when we store our picture into computer, it is stored in the form of one, what I can say as a matrix. It will have some number of pixels in rows, some number of pixels in columns. And that is what we call as dimension of picture. If the picture's dimension is 100 cross 100, 100 means 10,000 pixels are there. And every pixel will have some grayscale value, and that value number is stored using some number format, maybe unsigned integer 8 or whatever number format. So these are the numbers. What I'm trying to say here is the pictures, the images, the videos are interpreted by the computer in terms of numbers, not in terms of pictures in the original form. This diagram is an interesting diagram that says that how image is formed. When an image is created, how you can see an image, because on any image or object, some light is incident. The amount of light which is reflected by the object, and this is why we are able to see some object. If some light is incident on some object and complete amount of light is absorbed by that object, we will not be able to see that object. So what we say as a pixel value, the intensity value or grayscale value is nothing but the reflectance component, the component which indicates the reflectance of light. And believe me, the entire image processing works on those intensity values. You talk about any algorithm on image processing used in robotics or driverless car, they are all interpreting on the basis of the numbers, and the numbers are nothing but the grayscale values. And how those grayscale values are obtained? Because of this reflectance component. And how do we get reflectance component? The natural light, maybe sunlight. I am sitting here inside my room in my apartment. Some light is coming incident on my face. It's reflecting, and the amount of reflectance is helping you to see my picture in your screen. Otherwise, you won't be able to see me. So, this picture is going to you reaching there in the form of digital only, right? And this is how the digital image processing works. So when you understand about digital image is nothing but two-dimensional signal where X and Y are spatial coordinates that indicate the pixel position, and its intensity value, the amplitude of that coordinate value indicates the gray level value. And in digital image processing, there are three levels involved: low level image processing, high level image processing, and mid level image processing. What these three levels are: in low level, let us go to the next slide. If you see the low level processing in image processing, the input is image and the output is image. Examples include noise removal, image smoothing, image sharpening. Suppose the image is noisy, image is blurry, and you want to remove the amount of blur and noise from the images. So your input is image, your output is also image. Noise removal methods, noise enhancement methods, noise restoration methods, noise filtering methods, all these processing and techniques come under low level. What is mid level? Mid level is the processing where input is image and output it consists of attributes, some features, some parameters, some attributes. For example, object matching, pattern matching, segmentation. For example, you all understand that this smartphone has, it can identify you on the basis of your fingerprint. So when you buy a smartphone, it asks you to record your fingerprint. So what does it do? You give the input as a finger impression, but it extracts some features and stores those attributes in the form of templates inside the database. Next time when you test your finger, it matches that template, which is nothing but the set of attributes, and authenticated you as a correct user, appropriate user. So that's a mid-level processing. Medium level or mid-level processing is the processing where the input are all images and the outputs are attributes. What is the most important processing in computer vision is high-level processing. What is high-level processing? Input is attributes. Input may be sometimes images as well, but inputs are mostly attributes here. Some features, some set of parameters, some set of characteristics. What is output is understanding, decision making. For example, understanding a scene, taking some decision, autonomous navigation. All your smartphones have capability that you choose a Google map and you select a destination. Your smartphone takes you to that destination, helping you to the most optimal path. Suppose sometimes your car makes mistake, it goes to next path. Again, it optimizes a path for you on the basis of this high level computer vision capability and artificial intelligence. So the satellite data is captured by that Google system, Google Map system, and that data is interpreted by the capability of computer vision, what we are calling again and again as artificial intelligence. So that helps you on the basis of attributes, the direction, the signal, and there are different objects which are there in the road. It takes you to the correct direction. It takes you to the correct destination. That is what is called as navigation. Think about driverless car. Driverless car is the best example of high level understanding, where input is of course images and videos, but those images and videos are given to the driverless car as attributes. And on the basis of attributes, driverless car navigates and reaches to the destination. So what are the major steps in computer vision? Major steps are image acquisition, that is you have to acquire the images. Then some processing will be involved, and then image understanding. Images, scenes, and the input are acquired. Processing takes over those inputs, and then based on the processing, understanding, some inference is made. These are the major three stages or steps in computer vision. You look at here, there may be a different number of stages involved. After acquiring the image, it may go to image enhancement. As I told you, the images or the videos may not be of good quality, may be blurry or noisy. That can be corrected by image enhancement methods, by image restoration methods. Then it goes to image segmentation. What is the region of interest? What is the area of interest which you are interested? For example, you are using computer vision for performing a surgery inside human brain, performing a surgery inside human body. You are interested to detect the tumor inside human brain. So you take you capture MRI, you capture fMRI, you do not analyze the entire picture of your human brain. What do? You try to segment, you try to take the region of interest where there is a likelihood of affected area, abnormality, or the tumor. So this goes to segmentation. That it segments, it selects the area where the possibility of the abnormality is there in case of medical imaging. In case of driving, it will capture the all nearby regions, and then it will try to interpret. And based on that, it will describe, and after description, it will take the decision. So these are the intermediate stages involved in computer vision. Let us talk quickly about computer vision and human vision in 5 minutes. Then I'll be switching to the last part, major application areas. Human vision and computer vision, look at this picture. The first picture says that what we see here is this, but what computer understands, what computer sees is numbers. I have already explained. Look at the second diagram. Human vision has, there is an input. Human vision has eyes. It is used for as sensing device. It goes to brain. Then human vision system identifies there is a bowl, there are oranges, there are other fruits, there are peaches and other fruits are there in that bowl. It says that. That is human brain and human visual system. What computer vision says, what computer vision and how computer vision understands, same input is given to the sensing device. It goes to computer, which is interpreting device. Computer machine itself is not the interpreting device. It has capabilities of machine learning. It has capability of artificial intelligence that actually helps computers to interpret. Computer itself is a processing device, is a computing device, is ordinarily computing device. But as far as interpretation is concerned, as far as decision-making capability is concerned, It's made inside computer because of machine learning and artificial intelligence. So this is one interesting, the comparison between human vision and computer vision. You look at here, human vision maximum, there is a survey, there are studies which suggest that human field of view is 220 degree. We can see the world maximum span of 220 degree. Whereas the computer vision, it can have rotatory camera and rotatory sensing devices, and it can capture the entire world in 360 degree, all the directions, whereas human eyes have, the limitations. Privacy is there. Computer vision searches, analyzes the countless images and videos and other pieces of information which are stored online somewhere. So this is the limitation in computer vision. Most of the things which are stored somewhere online. So there is always some matter, issue related to the privacy of the data which is stored inside the computer. So that is always sometimes considered as, privacy issues related to the data, which is not at all there in human vision, right? But human vision has a limitation. How much of data you can store? It's difficult thing. How far we can see? Standing on the flat surface with our eyes about 5 feet of the ground, we can see the objects 3 miles away maximum. And the computer's capability. It can see the world, far, far away. The next point is persistence. I'm just moving to the points quickly. I'm just trying to compare human vision and computer vision. Persistence, you look at this picture. If you try to interpret this picture, is very difficult, very, very difficult. In which direction the other, the circular shapes are moving, whether they are moving in clockwise, anti-clockwise, how many objects are there. Look at this interesting picture. Very, very difficult. So the human eyes persistence, human eyes understanding, human eyes interpretation capability has its own limitation. Whereas the same image can be easily interpreted by the computer vision. You can look at here, persistence of vision of human eye, normal human eye is 1/16 second. 1/16 second, that much movement is there, we can detect. But computer vision doesn't have any persistence matter. Even it is 1/100 second, 1/200 second, it can interpret the images very quickly. Whereas human eye and brain can only process 10 to 12 separate images per second. But if per second 1,000 and 2,000 images are there, very difficult for human eyes to understand and to process. Whereas computer vision does it. Both are biased. There are research, I have just given a link here. There are research, works going on in this area. Debiasing humans is harder than debiasing AI system. AI system, which is computer vision, and we human being, we are all biased. So it said that there is, the research going on in Princeton. It says that computer vision is also biased. So this was all about computer vision versus human vision. The next part which I'm going to talk about is very important for all of you. Try to understand what problems, challenges, and opportunities we can take up problems for our research, and we can do something for us. You look at here, there is an interesting picture, and that picture says that smart city and in smart transportation system. Smart city, you can plan a smart city, you can have a smart environment monitoring system, you can have a smart health monitoring system, you can have a smart agriculture system, you can have a smart water pollution monitoring system, you can have a smart air control, air quality assessment system, and this is how you can develop a smart city. By controlling the amount of, by monitoring the amount of, the quality of air, the quality of water, the quality of radiation, the quality of the decibel level of sound, and this is how you can monitor the entire city. What we are, what we dream as a smart city, an intelligent city that can handle with all challenges of environment and can, can mitigate the difficulties and challenges due to the environmental and other factors. Smart transportation system, that guides everyone, to avoid the accidents, to have seamless transportation system, to have seamless movement. So these are the areas where one can think of doing a lot of work. Whatever amount of work you do is always limited. You can contribute something of your own as a new work. License plate recognition, license plate matching, autonomous driving are the major areas where the computer vision plays a significant role. I think all of almost all of you must be identifying or recognizing this. This was the Google's driverless car, which was tested, and this was a self-driving car. So if you think about self-driving car or a driverless car, I will tell you the driverless car is nothing but an outcome of two important things or three important things. One is compute. If you sum up all these three components, it's nothing but the capability of computer vision. What those three things are: sensor technology, thousands of sensors, I tell you, hundreds of sensors are involved, hundreds of sensors all around the body of car. Hundreds of sensors are there. Smart sensors are there. Vision-based sensors are there. Radar is there. LiDAR is there. Navigational sensors are there. All these sensors are there. In your smartphone, there are 22 sensors. Some sensor help you to navigate your path, navigate to your destination. And this is in the similar manner, the driverless car has hundreds of sensors. So the first technology is sensor technology. The second is artificial intelligence. These machine learning methods and these two technologies are helping the driverless car to drive on the road without any assistance of driver. 3 months ago, probably 3 to 4 months ago, I saw a news, a truck carrying, eatable products. It moved, it transported the eatable products from San Francisco to some other city, which was some 600 miles away. And it reached there in time without any assistance of driver. And the products were eatable, right? Edible products. And all the products could reach there in time. And it was tested successfully. There was a truck which was operating without assistance of any driver. So this is a great technology, great advanced areas where a lot of computer visions and the research and studies could be made. Because you can think about what we can do now. Why the driverless cars are not coming very popularly on the road. There are different transport, international standards are there, international regulations are there, and interoperability are issues. There are different standards in different countries. There are ethical issues. There are societal issues involved in driverless cars. So can't we do research to address the societal issues, to address the ethical issues involved in the driverless car and its operation? So these are not the only areas where image processing is involved, but there are areas where some other issues are involved in driverless car, where a lot of research can be carried out. You look at the second picture, industrial robots. You look at the first part of the picture, what the robotic arms or robotic, components are doing. And the engineer can look at here, every analysis can be made, and there is no role of any human being, and it is the capability of computer vision. So in the area of industrial robotics, in the area of manufacturing, the robots are employed. The furnace area where the temperature is thousands of degrees centigrade, hundreds of degrees centigrade, the robots are these days sent for performing different tasks, and those robots can be controlled with the help of computer. That is, whatever operation could be done by human being in adverse condition, extremely adverse condition, now these things are smoothened with the help of capabilities of the sensor enabled robots, the vision based sensor enabled robots. They are doing the task. This is an interesting area. The next application is very, very interesting area called as brain computer interface, BCI. Brain computer interface is the area where what we are doing, we try to understand, so brain computer interface, BCI, is an area where brain signals are recorded, There are sensors which are deployed over the head, over the scalp, and the EEG and other modalities are there. They are taken, they are recorded, and those brain signals are extracted, features are extracted, they are classified, and suitable decision is taken by the computer, or commands are generated. What is brain computer interface? You human being with the help of computer can control different commands, can generate different commands, and can operate hundreds of different devices. Just think about it. The brain activity, whether you are thinking, whether you are laughing, whether you are in sad mode, whether you are in crying mode, or whatever mode or whatever activity where the brain is involved, those activities these days are interpreted. I am happy to share you that one of my PhD scholar is currently doing one work on cognitive ability of human brain. We are trying to do research in the cognitive science. Cognitive science is the area where we exploit, we try to understand the entire brain signal activities. EEG is not only the signal, there are many other signals. EMG, MMG, EEG, different modalities are there. So EEG, that is electroencephalography, is one modality of signal which is captured, which captures the brain signals, that records different brain activities, the electrical signals which are there inside the human brain, and they are interpreted by the computer. And whatever human wants to do, human wants to switch on something, computer can understand it. Human being wants to switch off something, human wants something to move towards left side or right side, it's being done. It's being done by the computer. What the area is called as brain computer interface. And I want to tell you, in the area of cognitive science, the amount of research is still limited. There is huge opportunity, huge possibility of doing research in the area of cognitive science. I would be very happy if some of you participants, create some interest in cognitive science research and can connect with us. We'll be happy to have some collaborative work. So you look at the second picture of this slide, the signals are recorded and it goes to pre-processing. As I told you, the EEG signals may also be noisy. So those signals also need to be pre-processed, need to be filtered, need to remove the noise signal. It goes to feature extraction where we extract the features. As I told you, computer doesn't understand the picture, doesn't understand the EEG signals. Computer understands features. So it will extract some suitable features out of those EEG signals, and they are given to classification methods. And then it can go to computer. It can again be given to human brain as a feedback that no, some correction is needed, and that correction can also be done by the area. This very interesting area is called as brain computer interface. This is what I was talking about. This, you look at here, this is the capability of human brain, or these are the different activities. Frontal lobe of brain has capability of problem solving, creative thinking, personality traits. This area of brain has basic life functions. This particular area, which is called as temporal lobe, has the capability of memorizing, and this parietal lobe has capability of visual functions, reading, understanding the language, and this occipital lobe, this particular green area, has capability of vision. What I'm just trying to make a point here is this human brain has different parts. Each and every part has different capabilities, and those capabilities are reflected by the signals which are recorded as a brain signals in the form of EEG. Believe me, these capabilities, these brain activities, these days are interpreted by the computer. The area is called as cognitive science or the brain computer interface. This is what one paper, it was published in a Scopus journal. It was long back we started this. We tried to assess the cognitive ability of human brain. You can look at here, the cognitive ability to correctly recognize is more in women as compared to men. If you go from age wise, the more capability is there in children as compared to adults. The time to recall something which is stored inside the memory, the time taken by women is less than the time taken by men. And I have given this link. One can go to this paper and see what a small, introduction was given about cognitive ability. So a lot of work is going on in this area of cognitive ability of human brain. This is an application of cognitive science. The ability to recall, the ability to identify, the ability to recognize, the ability not to recognize. All these are these days interpreted by the areas. This is a very popular area. One of our chapter was published in the edited book with Springer, and this small work was done by my students of Myanmar here. They implemented this work on Myanmar Sign Language. Myanmar Sign Language or any sign languages. There are research in Indian Sign Language is very useful for deaf and dumb. That's also the application of computer vision. You get the different body movements, the different traits in the form of hand geometry and your palm geometry, and you can help the deaf and dumb people and to communicate as the sign language. So a lot of research is going on in this area in different. If you search the research in sign language, you will find that most of the sign language research is in American Sign Language. When we started studying about Myanmar Sign Language, we found only 1 or 2 papers. So even if you try to search for Indian Sign Language, still the research is limited. So those who are interested in this interesting area, one can start doing research in Myanmar Sign Language recognition as well. What was very interesting in this work was the input was the real-time input given as the input to the system, and it produces, you can look at the picture, equivalent Myanmar, Myanmar character, equivalent Myanmar character. Like you can see that Tayatali Z. Tayatali Z is the name of this character in Myanmar. And then audio was also connected, so that the audio also goes and the sound of that particular character is also generated, and visual effect in Myanmar character is also displayed. So it can help the person who is either deaf or dumb. So this is an interesting area where one can, thought of doing research. So what are the challenges and opportunities? Let me sum up the talk, because I thought of talking only 1 hour and taking some questions for 15-20 minutes and then closing the lecture. So what are the challenges and opportunities? As I told you, in the area of computer vision, soft computing methods are used like artificial intelligence, neural network, genetic algorithm. All these soft computing methods have their challenges, have their limitations, and the research lies in addressing and handling these limitations of soft computing methods. Because computer vision is nothing but a vision that mimics human vision, that takes decision even in efficient and faster way because of the soft computing capabilities, soft computing tools and techniques called as this neural network, artificial intelligence. So more and more research goes on, more and more research is continuing in these soft computing techniques, so that computer vision becomes more powerful, computer vision becomes more optimal, it can generate more optimum and optimal decisions. These are the challenges. Robustness, as I told you, robustness is a big challenge in the area of computer vision. Whatever you develop today, you develop some Indian Sign Language work today using some classification method, maybe any classification method, maybe any machine learning method. Tomorrow someone will attempt and will try to modify, will try to propose a new method, can give a better result. So robustness is a big problem in the area, so that can be continuously researched. Big data issues are there, a lot of huge data are involved. Empathy and societal issues, as I told you, empathy and societal issues are involved in the application like driverless car. I give one example. If driverless car is driving on the road, suddenly there comes a school where small young kids are coming outside the school, and suddenly heavy rain starts and water logging is there in the road. Now the driverless car is coming. It will also have capability that there is a crowd, so it will lower the speed and it will cross the road. But probably it may not lower the speed that would avert, to to dirt the kids, which are, to spread the dirt or water, the dirty water on the cloths and the body of the kids. So that empathetical, that decision making, that societal issues, because we human being, we are driving, we find that there is a water, we find the kids or any person, we lower the speed. So these capabilities are there, these things are there. This is one example where a lot of research can be done. Deep learning addresses most of the difficulties of these days, neural network and machine learning methods. So if we talk about even deep learning, it has a number of methods. CNN, which is called as convolutional neural network, is very popularly used as a deep learning method. But there are research which are going on. So all the computer vision methods, most of the methods, deep learning has not been tested. So a lot of work can be done where deep learning can be tested and the existing research could be improved. So let me conclude, then I will invite the questions. The CV has tremendous capability, computer vision, and there is a scope of implementation governed by AI. Computer vision is the future. Computer vision is the future for all, for everything, but it has challenges. There are research avenues. Computer vision has to be equipped with empathy and societal issues, societal values. Cognitive IoT has a huge scope. We are talking these days about everything we want to, have as Internet of Things. So these days, the researchers are discussing on talking about cognitive Internet of Things. The Internet of Things, which has cognitive capability, which has a smart sensing capability, which has a smart interpreting capability. That is what is cognitive. Cognitive radio is the area where the computer vision plays a role. So computer vision also enables smartness in all the systems, like I talked about, smart environment monitoring system, smart city, smart transport system, smart surgery. These are the few applications, but the application areas are not limited. A lot of things can be done, and this is what I wanted to talk about as an overview of computer vision versus human vision. And computer vision is a system where human vision is mimicked. The capability of human vision is exploited, and computer vision plays an important role in the modern society, in the modern application areas. This is my concluding slide. You can look at this slide. I will just close in next 1 minute, right? I always conclude my lecture everywhere with this slide. Look at this. This is popularly known as Einstein's equation, where we interpret E as energy, M as motivation, C as commitment, but I have different interpretation. M remains motivation, C is commitment, more is the commitment, more will be the excellence. If our commitment is half for any work, any research or any activity, our excellence will be 1/4. If we are doubly committed, no one can stop us to excel 4 times or, more stronger way as compared to the persons who are less committed. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much for joining this. I hope this might have benefited you, might have created some interest. The idea was not to talk much about research. I could have taken cognitive science research where we are working. Actually, we have been working research. I could have taken that topic, but I thought that let me discuss an overview of computer vision and human vision and what are the potential possibilities and opportunities for the research. That was the idea. Thank you so much from my side. Hari, now it's up to you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful presentation. And now it's time for questions. You can place your questions in the chat box. Let me pick and call the person. You can switch on your mic and camera, and you can interact with the resource person. Please. Okay, it's time for Narendran Punginian, right? Mr. Narendran.
I will take 3 to 4 questions only, because I have some, after 15 minutes, I have some other assignments. I'll be taking quickly around 3 questions. Then other people, if they have questions, they can send to me through email.
Sure, sir, sure. Mr. Narendran has a question now. I'll read it for you, sir, for him, sir.
Yeah.
Human vision involves neurons, information processed in parallel. What about computer vision? Will it process everything parallelly?
See, the parallel capability is a very interesting area. When we say that human vision has parallel capability, human brain is considered to have 10 to the power 18 neurons. There are some research studies. It says that 10 to the power 18 neurons, small cells are there, and those are structured in layers. So human brain is very complex, element, and the layers are very complex. The neurons are very complex, and there is nothing like the data is processed in parallel manner. But human vision can accept any data in parallel manner. But my recommendation is, my thought is, computer vision's capability to handle the data in parallel manner is much more as what human being can do, human vision can do. We have limited parallel computing capability, whereas computer vision using computer architecture, so parallel architecture, pipelining architecture, these are the architectures related to processing. But as far as the data taking, see, when you talk about deep learning, what does deep learning do? Deep learning can allow us to include more and more number of hidden layers between input and output layers. And there is pooling, there is a pooling arrangement, there is sharing arrangement. All these arrangements are there. So that makes capable to the computer vision. So my answer would be, human vision has parallel capability to take the data in parallel manner, but more capability even is there in computer vision.
Thank you, sir. And another question from Mr. Shivakumar. What is that human vision can do that computer vision can't in technological point of view?
As I told you, computer vision's capability, the speed to perform the task may be our speed is tremendous. Our human brain and our mind can reach to any part of the country, any part of the world immediately. I'm talking about the speed of performing, the speed of, performing some commands and performing some tasks. So, and then the efficiency, computational capability, is there, which we cannot do, which we may not be doing that way, at the speed at which computer vision can perform.
Thank you, sir. And
But at the same time, we have societal issues, we have societal and ethical values, which are probably not there in computer vision. Both sides, both aspects are there.
And there is another question from Mr. Natarajan Subramaniam. He's talking about latest innovations. Is there any way you have talked about the application for blind people? They can understand sign languages and other things, right, sir? And is there any applications which have been already created for such purpose?
Is there any application which is
implemented so far, or any latest innovations regarding?
See, my suggestion is, when someone wants to do some study or research in this area, has to do some extensive research. What I could suggest, I have done that. The amount of research for deaf and dumb people, especially for the people who have some disability of vision, disability of hearing, there is limited amount of research, especially in the area of computer vision. And therefore, if you find the DST project grant schemes in India, they always will invite the project proposals in this area. There is TIDE scheme, which is there, a project proposal scheme. They don't find much, potential grant proposals. So there is a lot of research opportunities there in that area. So what my suggestion is, go for extensive study, extensive research. I won't be able to say now that this much has been done, you can do this one. It has not been done so far. Better is to go for extensive study and review. That would tell us the exact actual status, and we can take up the new task as the problem to be addressed.
Thank you, sir. And my own personal question. We always tend to think about the privacy issues whenever we bring up a new technology. And even Google have scrapped at most the Google Lens project. They have just prepared a specs-like thing, and they have just hold on things because of the privacy issues. Will researchers think about privacy concerns when they are working on a new project?
It has already been doing, right? A lot of research, are going in encryption methods, encryption techniques, cryptography, right? Watermarking, encryption techniques, security methods, security mechanism, security protocols. But that's a great threat, as you rightly mentioned, that privacy is always a great threat. Privacy is the biggest threat in the areas of computer vision. But at the same time, research is continuing in this area to to provide more stringent, to provide more robust way of encryption and security, the methods to deal with, to mitigate these difficulties.
Okay, sir. I think we're done with the question session now.
Yeah,
Participants, if you have,
probably I will
if
be
you have,
happy that if we close.
sure, sir. I think you have cleared at most all our doubts. And if you have any doubts, please, you can write a mail to our Dr. Sinha to get your doubts cleared. And sir, somebody is asking that whether you will be sharing the presentation with them. Will you provide them a
I
copy
would
of your?
suggest that I'll be sending PDF to you. No problem. I can send PDF to you. Then you can share with them. But I would suggest that one more lecture on cognitive science research is there in my YouTube. I don't have much formal YouTube channel, but I have YouTube channel. They can go to my channel. I will share the link of my channel. You can put this video there also. But better you send the link to me. I will put this link in that channel also.
Okay,
The other participants who have not been able to attend today, join the meeting today, they can also see.
Sure,
But
sir. Sure.
PDF of the PPT, I'll be definitely sending you.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And
Okay.
I think we came to the end of the session now. Thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks all the participants that who have been very patiently listening to me for more than 1 hour. I hope it would have, it had, it has benefited all of you to some extent. And